Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 38 of the Hot Path Show. I'm Johnny, and joined in by Danny today. Welcome in, Danny. How's it going?
Pretty good. 38. We've come
38.
far away.
I
That's
know.
30 that's 38 weeks at the very least.
38 weeks. I think we've only missed one. I think I was like
Damn.
sick one week. But yeah, other than that, yeah, it's been a ton of fun, and yeah, 38. It's getting
Yes.
up there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So how things with you over at the Unity factory and all?
Everything is busy as always. I want to cram in the last bit before Christmas, and then I'm gone for pretty much all of December.
Okay, taking a big break from work.
Yep, indeed.
Are most people on the team kind of doing that as well?
A lot of people haven't taken their vacation up until now, so yes, they will be.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that is a well-deserved break for you, I'm sure. Yeah, welcome in. So we've got some people in here. Hello, hello. How's it going, everybody?
Yeah.
Good luck, have fun. So yeah, we are doing a little episode here today of the Hot Path Show where we talk about data-oriented design in game development. Now, a lot of times we talk about Unity Dots topics on here, but today we're actually not going to be talking about Unity Dots. Well, okay, maybe we will a little bit, of course, but
Yeah.
Danny, why don't you give us a little insight about what you're going to be sharing with us for the main topic here today?
Yeah, today's topic is Raylib, specifically in Odin. So earlier on the show, I did show off Odin, which is like a very data-oriented language created by a guy called Ginger Bill. And Raylib is a C library, normally speaking, that lets you do graphics, input. It's basically like a very tiny version of Unity, but more on the easier side. Um, and
Yeah, it's more of
it
like a
looks
framework rather than a game engine, right?
exactly. It's a framework. It doesn't have a level editor. It doesn't have any editor for that matter. You just use a bunch of functions, and it's very customizable for that reason. Um, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's the
it's very
plan.
exciting. I'm definitely looking forward to learning more about it. And yeah, if you want to, go ahead and check out the episode that we did a couple weeks ago talking about Odin game development. Danny gave us a great overview into, what the Odin programming language is and kind of like some of the basic cool features of it. And yeah, a lot of really good stuff in there. All right. So, yeah, let's go ahead and start getting into some of our topics of discussion here. So, we're going to start off with our prefetch little warm up topic. So, actually, just the other day, we had the Unity Awards, which was
Yeah,
a surprisingly fun event. So, it was kind of live streamed on Unity's YouTube and Twitch channels, and it was hosted by Jackson, who's kind of like the new host for a lot of the kind of online things, as well as Larry Erb, aka Major Nelson. So it was really great to see him just kind of like really being involved with kind of like doing the community and fun things like this little award show.
yeah, and we even did the live stream with Jackson. Like
Yes,
what
yeah,
was
yeah,
it,
yeah.
like 4 weeks ago when we were at Unite?
At Unite, yep, yep. So yeah, dang,
Uh,
almost almost a month ago about, or actually a little over a month ago, I guess.
yeah,
But yeah, so yeah, the award show actually was a really cool event. There was yeah, it wasn't them just kind of like presenting the awards, but they were also like showcasing a bunch of like games made with Unity and everything. So yeah, I thought it was like a surprisingly cool event. Like, what was kind of your overall takeaways from the event?
I was only there for like 20, 15 minutes.
Okay, I saw you in chat there
I
for a little
also
while,
did
so I
look in
wasn't
and
sure.
out. I came in and yeah, exactly. I was on the metro, which is why I watched it.
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay.
no, but the parts that I did watch was great. There were some fun games. The one I remember is the one with like a fruit bus. I think it was called.
Fruit
Um,
bus.
I think it was called Fruit Bus or something similar. It was a game about fruits. Um, yeah, that game looked fun. That is what I recall the most. And then obviously,
Okay, fruit
I did
bus.
also watch our part of the watch show.
You mean the part where we got robbed?
Yeah, totally robbed.
Yeah, so yeah, if you didn't know, we were nominated for a Unity Award, so there was a Best Live Streamers category. And so Jason Wyman and his game dev show ended up taking the victory for that one. Even though they haven't done a stream in a little while, but
Yes.
but yeah, no, they still won there. I think I'm gonna maybe demand some type of recount. I think there was some type of like voter issues going on, maybe some kind of like
I
hanging
mean,
chads in there
to be
somehow.
fair, I'm pretty sure people would also be saying the same if a guy from Unity helped win, right? So
They're like, wait, this guy probably just went into the back end and like added a
yeah,
couple zeros to the end there.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I definitely know the back end for that. Yeah.
Yeah, they give you full access to all that.
Also, someone else did actually also notice Fruit Boss. So
Awesome.
I'm not totally crazy here.
Yeah. I was kind of like doing a couple other things as well while the stream was going on, so I'll have to go back and look up Fruit Bus specifically because I don't know if I remember at least the name. I might recognize it if I see the trailer, but yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really cool event and just like cool that they're doing more of these like community things where they're kind of like celebrating a bunch of games and creators with these awards, but then also like giving a little bit of a preview into some of the things coming up. So I mean, it's kind of like a little like a mini game awards show almost.
Yeah, it is. And no, it was also presented by Major Nelson, which has I think he has done stuff like that before. He definitely seemed very much into the
Yeah,
format.
yeah. I mean, he's definitely a very like public facing person, and he was having like a ton of fun with it too. Just like when they would like cut away to some like video package or whatever, and they'd cut back, he'd like have like a like VR headset on, or would just be like doing
Yes,
silly things, and
I did notice.
yeah. So yeah, no, that was super cool, and also shout out to some of the other creator awards. We have Sam Yam who won the best devlog series, and also Code Monkey won the best tutorial series. So definitely a lot of good stuff
Didn't he
there,
also
and
win
yeah.
like a game award thing as well? Like his game
Um,
also won. I think he won twice.
I for this year,
Yeah.
I don't remember because I think he won a couple awards at last year's Unity Awards,
Give me a second, I'll find it.
but yeah, they have a whole like list of the winners on a blog
Yeah.
post or something.
Best, I guess. Okay, best devlog series. I think it is.
That was
Because
the one
Thingy
that
got.
Sam won.
Oh no, then it must be most entertaining.
Oh, I think that was from last year.
Interesting. Oh yeah, it does say last year. Aha, that's fine. Everything
Yeah,
makes sense now.
he's cleaning up all the awards though, one way or the other.
Because I'm noticing here, if you go into the website,
Hmm.
it does say him twice. So if you go into the awards for 2013, I can see that it does actually tag 2013. But
That's
I think
20.
if you,
That's 2023 though.
yeah, but if you do this, then I just noticed that it goes directly to 2023 when you
Okay,
press
well I
see
can't
winners.
click on that link anyhow. Unity.com/. Oh, okay, I see.
At least it did on my machine. Anyways, he in 2023 he did win twice,
Okay.
which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well deserved though. He's doing a lot of good stuff there at the
Yes.
Code Monkey Incorporated. But yeah, so yeah, really cool that Unity is doing more things like this, and yeah, I just think it was a fun event overall. Even though we got robbed of a robbed of a victory, but oh well. Next time we'll get him.
Next
Next
time.
time. Yeah, a couple other miscellaneous announcements that I do want to get through here. Really big and exciting one that was just announced yesterday. I don't know if you saw this, Danny, but JetBrains Writer is free
Oh yeah,
for
I
personal
saw.
use.
Yeah, no, I've seen that. It's now free for everyone as long as it's not non-commercial.
Yes. So yeah, they say non-commercial use. So basically, that means if you're learning, so if you're like a student or just kind of doing some things on your own, if you're just working on any like hobby projects, if you're doing open source development, which I thought was really cool,
Yeah.
and if you're doing any type of like content creation, that stuff is all
So for us, it's free, I suppose.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Although I do use Writer for commercial work, so
Yeah, and I do too. So I mean, Unity
yeah,
does have a license. It's just my personal machine doesn't have the Unity license, so therefore it's a good thing.
exactly,
Because I
exactly.
did used to pay for a personal license just so I could work on home projects.
Right. Yeah. Because yeah, that was previously the only way that you could get it, even just for personal uses. You'd have to purchase a subscription for it and all that. But yeah, now it is available basically for everybody, which is really exciting. So I actually put up a video on my channel earlier today, just kind of going over some of my favorite features of Writer and basically kind of like how I use it and yeah, just to kind of like maybe get you started, because again, with Writer there's like so many things in there, so many different configuration options and all that, that it really it kind of like just takes learning and experimenting on your own to kind of figure it all out. And yeah, my game gonna be if all goes well, going to be doing a reveal of my game on the next episode of the Hot Path Show. So exciting stuff there. And we both use light theme, right?
Light, yeah. Actually, on the subject of light
That's
theme, I
still in
think
there.
that what I'm gonna show later is light theme. So
Okay.
usually,
As a solo dev with no money, this is super weird. My projects are all hobby, of course, until one is actually finished. So, can I use Writer free now or what? I think that is kind of like my understanding of it is like if you're making any like hobby projects, like I would kind of assume that if you did put it up on the store at some point and you made money, then it's like then at that point that you might go ahead and like have to purchase a license kind of thing. But I
yeah.
suppose
I
it's a
think
little bit
as
of a
at the
gray
moment you
area
earn
there.
money is when they will start looking at you.
Right. Yeah. 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 Again, I don't think they really are too concerned. I think it's more just kind of like getting more people involved in Writer, and again, the idea is like if you start using it for some of your hobby projects, then that might like convince you to maybe go to your employer and say like, oh, we all should be using Writer. There's like, all these
Yeah.
benefits that we can use. And then like, your company ends up purchasing a whole bunch
It's
of
just, in a way
licenses.
it's kind of trying to steal all the Visual Studio community users.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, Wait, yeah, I mean, it makes sense because they just want people who have money to pay to give them money, right? They don't want money from people without money.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. Exactly. But I am the employer.
Dun dun dun.
Do you think Visual Studio is going to be abandoned by Microsoft for VS Code?
I mean, in a way, I hope not, because what I don't hope happens is that Visual Studio people will just move over the programmers for that and then start making it very slow. VS Code is not supposed to be slow; it's supposed to be quick and fast. So if they at least carry over some of the programming practices that they've done for Visual Studio, then that would be terrible. And I don't think that would be allowed in the first place. So, and I also think that a lot of like professional commercial enterprise customers don't want that. They want the full suite because that's what they've been using for years. It's like saying that Maya and 3ds Max is going away because Blender is there. I think they want to minimize cost, but I don't think it's going away.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, again, I feel like, moving an entire, enterprise organization from Visual Studio over to Writer, I mean, that can kind of be a big ask for people, I feel like, just because, again,
Yeah.
Visual Studio has been kind of, around for decades, and, yeah, it's evolved and kind of like morphed into something else different than it maybe was a long time ago, but um,
Yes. And
it's
I
it's
mean,
still a big challenge to get everyone to move over like that.
yeah, and it would also be a lot of work because there, for whatever reason, is still a lot of dependencies to Visual Studio. So, like, if you want the build tools for C++ on Windows, you either gotta go with like GNU and like something called MinkW, or what most people go with is the Visual Studio building tools, which require Visual Studio or like a minimal set of it, which is incredibly annoying to install on its own without Visual Studio.
Yeah, yeah.
And also, even if you use Writer, it will use that on the backend, the devinf.exe. So I don't think
Yeah,
Writer
everyone's still
wants it to happen either, because right now there's a lot of dependencies
they're
around
still
there.
kind of, yeah, utilizing some of that. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And then been using Visual Studio 6 since version 6 in 1999. Actually, I think
Damn, that's before I was born.
it's funny. Yeah, I think there's like a video of Casey Muratori saying or like showing like how quickly the like 2004 version of Visual Studio opens compared to like the, I think it was like the 2017 or something version that he compared it with. But yeah, yeah, he was just showing like he's like why, like, how does the software get like so slow and bloated when it like is, I'm just trying to like compile C++ code here. Yeah, awesome. We got a fan of Odin and Raylib here. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about that in just a little bit here. Just got a couple quick other announcements to go through.
Small.
It's very small. Yeah, so then just wanted to mention real quick that over on the Unity Asset Store, there is a little bit of a sale going on right now. It's the Unity 6 Toolkit sale. So it's kind of one of these like bundle type sales where you can pay like $15 to get some, couple of assets, and then $30 to get a bigger group of assets. And so yeah, there's like kind of just a bunch of ones to get you up and started with some Unity stuff. So I have a link to that down in the description if you do want to go ahead and check that out. And also wanted to mention that you can support us over on Patreon as well as through YouTube memberships, where we do have some fun additional bonuses, bonus content, and all that there. So I'm going to be making the next round of videos for the month of October and just this coming week here. So I did post a request for questions for people at the $5 tier and up, where you can basically kind of submit any questions that you may have, and I'll be answering those on a dedicated Q&A episode. And then also, we have an extra bonus episode for all supporters and behind the scenes stuff for some people at the higher tiers. So yeah, anyways, with that, we can go ahead and get into a couple of our topics of discussion here. So here I wanted to bring up something for our cash hit, Unity Dots quick tip of the week. Even though we're going to be talking about Odin and Raylib a little bit later on, did want to sneak in a little bit of Dots things in there. So this is something that actually kind of tripped me up the other day. And
Wow. Okay. Just a quick tangent.
wait, what?
Um, bunch
Oh
of money.
shoot! Awesome. Thank you so much
Damn,
for the support, Mr. Awesome. We really appreciate that.
that
That's
is very
awesome.
awesome.
Very awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. So yeah, anyways, just wanted to go back to the cash hit Unity Dots quick tip of the week here. So this was something that it tripped me up a little bit when I was doing some things with some cleanup components. So as you know, that cleanup components, basically they are kind of a way where you can, basically the main feature of them is that when you destroy an entity, if it has a cleanup component on it, all the other components on that entity will basically be destroyed. and gone, except for that cleanup component. That cleanup component still kind of exists as that entity essentially. And so this allows you to basically do some additional cleanup logic where you can say, if this cleanup component exists, but some other, known components do not exist, then we know that we can, perform our like cleanup step in operation on these. These are really good for doing things like linking with different like game objects, where if we had a game object synchronized to an entity, we could use a cleanup component to maybe destroy that entity, or or that destroy the game object, or kind of run some additional logic, have some particle effects appear or something like that. So anyways, I was kind of using these, and what I wanted to do is basically have a cleanup component tag that, because I knew that, like, if it had this tag, like it already had this other component on there, and I just wanted to run, some logic just on a kind of one frame there. So I decided that I was going to try and use like a cleanup component tag. Now I tried to add this tag through a baker on a prefab, but that doesn't actually work. I guess there is a limitation on cleanup components where if you apply them to a prefab, it doesn't actually add that cleanup component to the instantiated entities. It's only on that prefab component. So yeah, is this something that like is there a particular reason for that, or is that kind of just a limitation of some things? Do you know?
Are you saying that having a prefab entity that does in fact have the cleanup component, and then you instantiate, has this artifact? Or are you saying that a baked prefab has this?
A baked prefab.
Okay, because then it makes sense. Because baking, when it goes to serialize through baking, then it doesn't actually serialize any cleanup components. So
Is there a particular reason for that?
that is how a cleanup component were designed.
Okay.
So it's actually part of the design, but it's something. That is the reason that they were initially called. What were they called?
System state components.
Yeah, that's the name. Yes.
Which is now a different thing.
Yes. Well, system state is a different thing. System state component was never. That was the.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, no. The reason it was called system state is because it was meant to also have that extra meaning. Now it's just seen as a cleanup component. But it's because for most parts it's correct to say it's a cleanup component because it is meant for cleaning up. It just also has that thing where you can add a bunch of components to baking and then it doesn't serialize to disk. So yeah, no, it's weird. It is something that I personally didn't like about the design.
Well, Wayne Games chimes in here. So a cleanup component is supposed to be used to clean something up. That implies that something was created at runtime to clean up. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that's entirely correct.
Yeah, it was definitely like driving me crazy for a very long time because like I was essentially doing this, and I thought, is it something with like just because it's like an empty cleanup component, like do I have to have like some like bool value in there where I just like don't set it, but it just has to like have some value, like is it something that it is because it's like an empty cleanup component, but I was like no, and I'm like looking at the components window, and it's like I see just one entity has it. I'm like, okay, the prefab has it, why do like the instantiated entities don't have it? I'm like, this is making zero sense right now. So then, yeah, I went on the docs and saw that there is a note on cleanup components saying, hey, if you have this on a prefab that was added through a baker, it won't actually be added to any instantiated prefabs. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So then, yeah, basically just kind of had to do a little setup system where now I have like a initialize tag that actually adds the cleanup component. It actually ends up working a little bit better because I can like store a reference to what I need now in that cleanup component. So it ends up working a little bit better, I think.
Nice. And I see that Wayne is commenting. I think there's slash was something also with enable components, but baking as expected, or it had a bug at some point. That was likely a bug because enableable components are supposed to work with baking and are supposed to be serialized correctly. And that's why we have a baker function called set component enabled. Wouldn't make sense if that function was there and it not being supported in baking.
Yeah, true. I just hold the containers in a system and manually dispose them. Is there a destroyed component? What exactly do you mean by what exactly would a destroyed component be?
I suppose that is what a cleanup component is, right? It's like a destroyed component would just be a tag component that implements a cleanup component, I suppose. Then it's a component that only exists on destroyed entities.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean it also exists on non-destroyed, I suppose, but
Mark said an entity is no longer valid. So yeah.
That's not really a thing, but you would have to create a component, cleanup component, destroyed component, and then check if it has that component but nothing else, like an alive component.
Yeah. Or maybe you have some like your destroy entity system. You like add a cleanup component to it before you run the destroy logic.
Yeah, maybe.
Which
actually, what you could do is probably just have a Bucori check for if it contains the destroy component, but not the simulate component, because all entities pretty much have the simulate component.
Right. Yeah. Even if they don't have like a local to world or anything like that, they'll still always have the simulate.
Yep.
Okay.
That there's actually a point in our the dots connecting the dots presentation where I had to say that when you create an entity, they will all create find a place in memory where there's no components. And you can hear me stutter, and the reason I stutter is because it's technically not correct. When you create an entity, it's not no components it finds; it's simulate component. Right?
Okay.
It's kind of weird. Our empty archetype is one that has simulate in it.
Okay, makes sense.
And it's entirely for netcode reasons.
Here's an interesting question. Can a cleanup component also be enableable?
Yes.
Makes sense. I suppose things would start getting a little bit weird at that point, but
yeah, no. It's still fairly simple as to why, because it's just enableable. It's like a composable feature. So it works on buffers. It works on components. It even works on shared components. Though at that point it gets a little weird why you would be like you can have an shared cleanup component data that is also a managed component and enableable.
You can get real weird with it. How does that work for dynamic buffer? Is basically that consider like the full buffer as enabled or disabled? It's not like specific elements of it.
Correct. Yeah. It's the whole buffer you enable or disable.
Okay. Interesting. Very flexible. Very flexible.
It very much is. Maybe a little too flexible.
All right. Well, yeah. So, I just wanted to call that out because that was something that tripped me up a little bit this week, and I thought it would be a fun thing for people to know. Okay. Context switch. We can kind of start moving into some of our Odin, Raylib topics and all that. I actually do have something that I want to share because I have been, believe it or not, working on a little bit of a Odin project here myself. So, yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to get the, pull this. So this, do you recognize this at all, Danny?
Is it solitaire?
It is a solitaire game, so people may recognize this if they watch Jonathan Blow's streams, because this
Okay.
is a specific type of solitaire that he plays a lot. So this is part of the Zachtronics Solitaire Collection.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's called Fortune's Foundation, and it is a extremely difficult form of solitaire that I've been having a ton of fun playing. It's really challenging. So basically, the idea is there's like these 11 columns, and they start by dealing 7 cards into the first 5. This middle one is empty, and then the remaining 5. So they're all kind of like the same amount of cards there. And then the idea is, typically like in solitaire, where you have kind of the 4 different suits in the upper right corner here. You want to, add these sequentially, going, ace, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to king. But also we have the tarot cards, which are numbered 0 through 21. And those, we also need to get those in the upper left corner. Now with the tarot cards, you can either start from 0 or 21 and basically like work your way into the middle, so you can kind of start from either side to like kind of add those all in there. And then the way you kind of like rearrange cards is like basically any card of a same suit you can add, you can put a card, one value up or down on there. And so it ends up like leading to some like really interesting play where you're having to like move these stacks around in really interesting ways, basically in order to get all the cards for all the 4 different suits, as well as the 22 tarot cards up there as well. So it is a really fun and difficult form of solitaire. So anyways, I bring this up because I've actually been working on recreating this with Odin.
Oh.
And so right now it basically is just all kind of running through the command line here.
I guess it's a good thing we can add some visuals today.
Exactly. So I thought it would be like kind of a good little kind of introduction for myself, just to kind of like experiment around with. This is probably really small in the stream, but kind of experiment around with like learning the Odin programming language, because it's kind of like the first time that I'm sort of using Odin, and just kind of learning a little bit of all the quirks and stuff with this, and kind of making this little
Using
game here.
NeoVim as well. It's
Yes, I have been experimenting around with NeoVim. I don't have any like configurations on it right now, so it's just like very basic.
I'm
just,
noticing
like, raw
you're not
text
even
editor.
using the Odin language server, which does
No,
support
no.
it does support NeoVim, so you could actually run the language server.
Yeah, I should probably at least put that in there, just so I have a little bit of like syntax highlighting or something in there.
Yeah, because right now you get comments or strings.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically all I get. And for some reason, like procedure names.
Yeah, I'm noticing proc is also part of it.
Yeah, it kind of like bolds things like proc and like continue and break, just like random things like that. But yeah, so anyways, this is kind of like basically what I have right here. Again, I'm just kind of like doing it all through the command line, and then Danny, you're going to be showing us some graphic stuff today with Raylib. So once I can learn that, I can kind of start building this out in my little test experiment project. But basically, what I have here is I'm kind of just like doing a printout of the whole board, so you can see this is kind of like the main playing area. I kind of like shuffle out the cards and just kind of like print out what the name of the card is essentially. Up top, here's all the kind of like places for the tarot cards, and then these are kind of like the 4 places for like kind of the regular suited cards. One other thing that I also forgot to mention is that you can actually hold a card, so you can like basically take one card from the play area and like hold it up in the actually basically in this game you kind of hold it on top of these, so when you're kind of in that configuration, you can no longer send cards up to these 4 stacks in the upper right. However, you still can send cards up to the tarot cards here. So it kind of ends to like a little bit of an interesting play, where you can kind of like free up a space to allow you to move some more things around, but you can't send any cards up to the 4 suits there.
Mm.
So so basically I'm kind of doing a little bit of a printout here, and then I have 2 basically features enabled. So let me see if I can find it. So I have this move card feature, and then I'll do this. And by the way, Odin is extremely fast. I was kind of like experimenting around with this for like a full day about, and then just like a little bit here and there after that. But I went over back to Unity programming, and I'm like, man, this is taking so long to
Yeah.
recompile and everything.
It's weird to think that Unity is supposed to be like, the reason it's using C# is because it's a scripting language, because it's supposed to not take that long to compile. But Unity totally fucked that up in that
But yet
one.
here we are.
Yeah, exactly. But we're fixing
So yeah,
it. Hopefully in the future, iteration
good,
time is good.
good. Actually, I wonder if there's a way that I can like kind of zoom in on this terminal just so it would be like better to see. Bigger. I guess I could do. There we go. How's that looking?
Oh, you're on a Mac as well. I only just noticed.
I am on my Mac right now. We're at the Turbo Makes Games affiliate office here today, so on the Mac. But yeah, so what's going on here is I'm printing out this whole board here, and then the first basically kind of like feature that I've added in is the ability to move cards from one column to another. Right now I'm not doing any like checking on the values. I just like want to make sure I can actually move cards over. So for example, I'm going to take this King of Spades here and move it onto this Jack of Hearts. So you can see down here, basically the one that was here, it moved over, and now it's kind of on this new line. So it kind of like, adds to that particular stack there. Then the other thing that I have implemented is evaluating the play area. So we'll go ahead and do this, and I might have to, okay, so it actually did end up working the first time. So basically what this does is it looks at the last card in each row, and then if any one can get moved up to either the completed tarot cards or the regular suited cards, then it just goes ahead and does that move. So if you look down at the bottom here, we have the 0 tarot card as well as the 21 tarot card. So when we scroll down, it fills in the 0, the 21, and then now removes those from the kind of bottom play area. So that's just wanted to show that off because I've been just kind of experimenting around with the Odin programming language and working on this little kind of solitaire game. And right now it doesn't really have like a loop. It's just kind of like it just runs the program once. Because I was looking around, like it doesn't look like Odin actually has a way, like a built-in way to like get like user input from the command line or something like that. Like it sounds like you have to integrate with just like a the OS framework of getting input, or use something like Raylib essentially. That's kind of my understanding of it, at least.
I did it once. I think it's a matter of using the input stream and then just reading that one. I don't remember it being that hard once you finally know the how of doing it. What I can recommend is going on the Discord. The Discord really is great for learning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will definitely check that out because I kind of want to get the main gameplay loop working just in the fully like command line version of this, and then once kind of like I have all the logic figured out, then I figured I would kind of like go ahead and add in some Raylib graphic stuff with that.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely. I mean, it's easier with Raylib certainly, but I think it's a fun challenge to do it in the console.
Right. Yeah. So that is my little solitaire project.
Nice.
So now we can kind of move into our main portion of the show where we're talking today about Odin and Raylib. So, yeah, so why don't you go ahead and give a little introduction to what you're going to be showing us here today?
Yeah, I will share my screen. There you go. Yeah, so this is Raylib. It's a fairly small C library. What's great about Odin is the fact that while it doesn't have a package manager, it comes with a lot of packages out of the box. Last time I showed that importing packages in, well, the concept of a package in Odin is as simple as saying import and then what you need. So if you need the like default logging of Odin, then you get fmt and then you say fmt print line. There you go. That's a hello world.
Yep.
Now Odin, because it doesn't have a package manager, you need to manually install all the packages that you need. That means you also manually you don't start just getting a bunch of packages just because you think you might need one package and then that package needs another package. Instead, they have like solved that at the root. We talked about that on the show last time. So yeah, go back and watch that one. But needless to say, they have a folder called vendor. It comes with Odin, and vendor includes a bunch of different libraries to use. One of which is Raylib. The other that is very similar is SDL, if anyone has heard of that. It's a fairly old library at this point. Yeah,
It's
and with
awesome
Raylib,
that it just basically comes with Odin essentially. I wasn't sure if like it was built in or if you had to like point to some file that you downloaded from somewhere else, but it sounds like it's all right in there, right?
it very much is. And to the person asking in chat, I have the link to you right here. So that very episode. It's episode 29. Yeah, I suppose I can just go into what all of this does. I think most of it is fairly self-explanatory, which is what's great about Raylib. It's fairly self-explanatory for the most part. So
Yeah.
actually, Turbo, can you guess what this one does? Just on its own.
Does it initialize a window of 800 by 450 and add a title of Raylib core example basic window?
Whoa! Wow! Oh, wow! Wild! You guessed it. Let's see what happens if I just do that. Oh yeah, and I know someone asked if there was support for a language server inside of Visual Studio, which there is, as you can see. I'm getting all the autocomplete. There you go. Yes, and then I can just build. I don't know if I have made it auto build, so I'll just type in console. I have not made a build task. Oops, oops. And of course, the window shuts right down again.
It just flashes open, basically.
Yep. Which is why we need to add not all of it, just at the very least that, but we can also just add this. So now, go to run.
I love the infinite for loop.
Yeah, infinite for loops in Odin is great.
The for loops have been pretty configurable and like fun to work with. Like I like how that you can just like iterate through like an enum just by saying like for, variable name in enum name.
Yes. The language is very flexible. And I don't know, did we even show that last time? I know we showed enums. Like cake is a enum. Chocolate, there's different kinds of cake. It's great. What a fun example.
Yeah.
And then you can say like, how does that even work? I guess
you just say like 4 cakes in cake.
C in cake. And then
you can also use that C as like an index into an array. So if you had like
Yes.
Because actually, where I was using this in some of my code is like I had like 4 different arrays for the 4 different suit types, and I could like use the suit type um, enum value as an index to get the array that I want.
Did you have to cast it by any chance? I don't recall whether you have to cast enums to ints before
So
using it as an indexer.
by 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 default, you do not have to cast it, which is really nice. But I added like a none value as like the first enum, so then I had to cast it and then do a -1 because like my arrays would have been off by 1.
I think also if you were to do distinct enum, then you might have to cast it.
Okay.
Because the distinct keyword means that it doesn't alias another type. And so normally, if it doesn't have the distinct one, cake is just considered any type of enum. Whereas if I were to do distinct, it's specifically considered a cake enum.
Right. Yeah, I remember you mentioning the distinct keyword for a couple things on the last stream.
Yes. I think specifically handles, because that's where you generally use it. Anyways, I'll keep this cake around. It might be fun to use later. But of course, the next function that is important for us to use is, and also before we use that one, let's make this a little smaller. I like calling it RL instead, which we can do like this. That means that any function that lives inside of Raylib now lives as the name RL. Normally, it will take on the name of whatever is after the colon.
It's the last portion of the import.
Yeah. And what it does is essentially just it looks at that Raylib folder and then finds all the files in that folder, and then that's what is included. So any function that lives inside any of those files that is in the Raylib folder. So you will find on your machine a vendor folder, and inside the vendor folder there is a Raylib folder, and that Raylib folder contains all of the Odin files. So yeah, okay. Instead of doing an infinite for loop, which this is, then we can make sure that we loop until the window should close, which is this function. Wow. Can you guess what this, for instance, evaluates? Why you need this here and not just an infinite for loop?
Because you want the program to stop when you close the window?
Yes. Specifically, you want the program to stop when you press the little,
The X button, yeah.
The X button. If you don't do that, then yeah, this doesn't work. And then to do like proper cleaning of the window, then you add Raylib close window. There we go. Good. And that means we now should have a Raylib program that actually does respond. You can see this one has it's not responding because it's an infinite loop. There you go. Hey. Why does this one
Still
not
not responding?
I suppose it's because we're not drawing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so if we just quickly draw
RL.
boom,
RL.
True. Oh, save. The errors are also pretty useful. It normally is like, oh yeah, this part is undeclared.
Yeah.
It's not as useful as something like Rust, but it is very useful because it doesn't take as long as Rust. Rust takes fucking ages. It's so slow.
Yeah, it seems like anytime I have had issues, it has been pretty good at least pointing me to the place in code that my error is, and like giving me a little bit of context about what might be going on. So even if I do end up having to like search for what the issue might be, I have kind of enough to go off of.
And I see someone asking whether it has a concept of a window handle, and yes, it does. You can do rl dot get window handle. which this handle. There you go. Now this handle contains the window handle. And to those that don't know what a window handle is, that's usually any operating system. The way that a GUI system works is generally your operating system will give you a reference to the handle, and you create it from like Windows APIs if it's on Windows, and some Linux APIs on Linux, and that will give you back a handle, and then that's where you are supposed to add all your frame buffers. So this is just a nice way of like doing this, but it's still, you know, this will act differently depending on which platform you're using, which is also why it gives you back an int pointer, or like a raw pointer to the Odin people, which is just going to be like a handle depending on the platform. And then you can use that with any sort of windowing API that you want to use.
Nice. So it's just like a kind of wrapper around all the OS level stuff.
Exactly. And if you want to use the OS level stuff, then you can do like OS2, and then you can see all the OS2 API. Some of these will take in a window handle, I'm fairly sure. Blah, 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 blah. This is like there's Odin standardized library for OS operations. There's also what do they call them? I think, is it just, there's something in here that is like the actual system. Is it system? It might be system. Yeah. System Win32. Then you get all the Win32 APIs.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, this is probably what I'll end up having to do for getting my input in the console.
Maybe. Let's see. Is it Windows? Windows. Yeah. There you go. Here you have a lot of the Windows APIs.
Everything.
That's also something that's been really great about Odin. Like generally, the community seems to have like a preference to make a Odin version of it, like a full Odin implementation of it. So, for instance, if you want to like import a PNG, then you can just like do core image. I think it's image. Yeah, image / PNG, and then they've written a full PNG parser that gives you a full
That's
PNG.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And I know someone is working on a full JPEG version, but it just takes a little longer. So right now that doesn't support JPEG. But the reason it's awesome is because Odin does support compiling into WASM and compiling into like a bunch of different platforms. And so I have a website that's fully run in Odin. And I wanted to support just like compiling into the binary the actual PNG. And that should work on the website. So I don't want to use a separate library that doesn't, compile to WASM and isn't just part of the already built WASM. So therefore, it being part of Odin already, I can just like use that direct, compile it into the binary, and then I only have one WASM to control.
That's awesome.
So incredibly nice.
So you actually have that website up and running right now?
Yeah, it's git.daxo.dk.
Okay.
Which is my own little mini game engine written in Odin.
WASM demo.
Running on a browser.
Git.daxo.dk wants to see text and images copied to my clipboard.
Yeah, that's because it also does, there's a little UI support, and I wanted copy-paste support. So it has to look at your clip holder in order to copy that to the local buffer so that you can do copy-pasting. And the browser doesn't support to look at your clip holder without asking you.
Right.
Which makes sense. That's a good security feature in a browser.
Wait, so you need access to like read it, even though you're just kind of writing to it?
Both reading and writing. So if you do like Control V on the website, you want to be able to paste, right? Which means I need to be able to read your clipboard. Anyways, let's make something draw. I can make it. Can you guess what this line does?
Probably clears the
Very
background and makes it white.
specifically ray white,
Ray white.
which is defined as actually RL.
Oh.
It's slightly less white than white. You can see white is full white.
Look at that. Do they do that cursed thing with yellow too?
No, I think that's a Unity thing. I think yellow is this weird color called actually yellow, like where it's no wait
Yeah.
no
That's
no
a little off.
no.
Is it the same?
I don't think it is. I think we added a little a B to it in our
A
yellow.
little bit of B.
Yeah,
I'll look up what Unity's yellow is.
please do. Why is yellow not full on yellow? Even red is not full on red. They're
So
just quirky like that.
Unity displays it in 0 to 1. So the RGB is 1.92 and 0.016.
Can you multiply that by 255?
Yeah, we'll see. 255 times. Wait, what was it?
And while you do that, I can answer Mr. Awesome's question, which was how big is the handle? And the answer is it is a raw pointer, and a raw pointer is defined based on your platform. So it would be 32 on 32-bit platforms and 64-bit on 64-bit platforms.
Awesome.
I'm fairly sure.
Okay, so the red is going to be 255. Green is 235. And then blue is 0.016, 4.
So it is, a different color. It's a different yellow.
Yeah.
Now people can start to argue if one yellow is better than the other yellow.
If Raylib's yellow is better than Unity yellow.
Yep. I mean, the answer is none of those are the correct yellow. Yellow is supposed to be 255, 255, 0. Right. The only correct yellow. And let's make a different color. Actually, we talked about yellow. Let's do yellow. There you go. Can you guess what this one does?
Draws text to the screen.
Yeah, but what are these arguments here?
So I'm guessing that's going to be X, Y, and font size?
Raylib. And you can see wow. I am very much a designer, and this is so pretty to look at.
All right, Mr. Awesome, there's your light mode.
Oh God, it's so. Let's do, I think, dark gray. Is that not an option? But yeah, dark gray. And purple.
There you go. It's a nice default font.
The Ray font is very nice.
It's the same font as they use for like the logo, right?
Yes, it is. There you go. Way bigger. And then what we need to do in order to center it is we calculate the width of it. So there's RL text width, or what is it called? And now this is what's nice about Raylib. It is incredibly small or compact. So you can do it's like, Yeah, you get a small little tool belt that has all the utility you need to make your own little engine. So if you were to, want to try out making your own game engine, I would totally start by using either SDL or Raylib and working on your own engine there, and then build up features from there based on the game you're making. I know Jacob something, I can't remember his full name. Let's see if I can find him. Jakub and Jakub Tumsu, who is making a game in Odin that is fully 3D, and he made the game engine himself specifically for the game he's working on, which means that it works really well for the game he's working on. And you know the exact thing that happens in the full loop. Okay, I think somewhere here, front loading and unloading. This is drawing text, measure text, I think is the one we want. Yes. So if we quickly define the string, str, and then that's still what we are logging. And then it complains because it needs to be a C string. That's also nice about string literals in Odin. You can very easily just say it should start off as a C string instead.
Mm.
And then we can say text width equals, there we go. Is it saying it's the wrong type? Yeah, it needs to be an I32 instead. And then we know that the width of the screen is 450. So if we do 450 minus text width divided by 2, right?
That makes sense.
No, if that just gives me the center, and then I want.
Oh, because the corner is at the center, so then you have to minus.
Divide this by 2.
Oh yeah.
So we have the center of.
Well, 450 is your height, correct?
Oh yeah, you're right.
800,
so 800.
should be, yeah.
So yeah, 400 to get to the middle, and then instead of going full on that way, we go.
Right, then you do half
the size which we want to go to. Yeah, so this should get us to the middle. You do have to be a little better at math when you don't have a full-on game engine to do it for you. But
you can do dot centered.
Yeah, the center option is not that much of a thing. Did I forget to do something? Oh, wait. There you go. I trusted Copilot. That's the issue. And of course, this text is way too big. So we can fix that by making... that looks centered.
Nice. Center that div there.
Center that div, yeah. That's not an option here. Now, can you guess how we get something moving on the screen?
I don't know. Just kind of use some, increment some position over time.
Yep. Let's start at 100 actually.
Is that window resizable, or is it basically fixed once you?
I think right now it's fixed. I think there is RL window. You can check if something has been resized, which only makes sense if you can resize it, right? So see, set window size, set opacity, set max size. It's one of the options. I know there's something like window option. I have a cat in the way as well. Resize. Resize canvas. Let's see. Then let's look at the documentation, because I think it's also a good example of like how nice Odin is by just looking at the cheat sheet. It's all in one, or 4 images, I guess. So most of the API is in our core.
And you can see 0%. Yeah.
Set callback, straight back. So we wanted resize.
RL set config flags window resizable.
Ah, there it is. Okay.
Nice. Thank you.
Good. Actually, we can do that. I don't trust this for a second. Config flag. There you go. And we don't want the VC. Okay. And I think it needs to be before. Correct me if I'm wrong, Marcin. But I think it needs to be before. And then, of course, there you go. And I technically can just do this. That's one thing I do find nice. What?
Because it just like implies the type, basically.
It implies the type because it already knows so based on the usage.
Yeah, and no, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Also the fact that you can create a bit set and that bit set is just combined automatically. So like it's ORed together if I want to do more window topmost. So it starts out as the most topmost window. Yes. So now it should be resizable. Just wow.
Wow. Look at that resizable window.
And of course, if I wanted the text then to update based on the resizing, then I could just
instead of hard coding the
exactly width. Instead of hard coding this, then I would have to use the actual proper.
Yeah, I think there's like a get screen width or something.
There you go. Would you look at that? Yes. So
look at all those rays.
Now this is the begin and end drawing. Here we have the value 200. What if we just set position Y as that value? Then, of course, if we wanted things to move around on screen, then it's just as simple as, well, actually it gives us a funded example that includes input, but let's wait with input. Plus Y plus equal 1. Let's just set the frame rate for now. Target FPS 60. There we go.
You can make a little now make it bounce when it hits the edges, so you can do like the DVD logo thing.
Oh yes, the DVD logo. Right now it's closer to like Star Wars. You know, the end screen. I just need to make the screen black and 60 low. And yes, live coding, what could possibly go wrong? Actually, let's do that. What you just said. Plus will y. Plus 1 will y. There we go. And if there we go. Can you guess what Copilot just did there? Because it is correct from what I can tell.
It basically sees if it's greater than or less than a certain y value, that'll just flip the velocity.
Yeah, so instead of going down, we go up, and instead of
Yeah.
going up, we go down.
And boop.
I mean, it definitely needs to be a little
Because it's
earlier.
still up at like the top corner essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to also account for the text height.
Yeah, exactly. That's fine. I can just like, if it's, I guess 10. I don't know, 400 maybe. Almost. 390. Yes. That's wrong. Anyways, so let's do some input. What should we have the input do? Let's make a little fake player. Let's do a player. Let's do a player struct. Player struct. He has a cake. Oh, that's very nice of Copilot to give it cake. Let's not have a string on the player. That's dumb.
That's not very data oriented.
No, it's not. The language is certainly very data oriented. It makes it very easy to make this sort of structure and just like change it up and down. And yes, let's have a think. Also, it doesn't need a comma. There we go. And then it should also have a position. There we go. And then let's create our player.
Now that RL vector 2, that is different than, I believe there are some built-in Odin vector types, correct?
Correct. So what I could also have done is I could have used, actually this might even be it's a built-in. It just overlaps the built-in one.
Okay.
So what I could also have written here, which is the same aliasing type, is I could have said it's two F32s, two floats.
That's right.
And you can see I can still write this piece of code here because it's
they're essentially the same thing.
Yeah. It would be different if RL vector was defined as a distinct, like if it said in here distinct F32, then you can see I would get a little compile error.
It's cool how you can like literally just modify the source like that, and it just
this is it's both cool and a problem, right? Because I could accidentally modify the source, and then someone else might not have the same source as I do.
Right.
So it's both very powerful, and also with great power comes
great responsibility.
Wow.
How poetic.
Also, I am personally a better fan of vanilla, not chocolate.
I thought you were more of a strawberry fan.
Actually, that's right. Strawberry is great. Yeah, I'll take strawberry. All the important stuff here. Also, I like the fact that there's no option to get no cake.
Yeah, that's yeah. You have to have a choice.
You have to have a choice. You have to have a preference. So if we want the player to move around, we can write. And normally the way that you would end up writing a Raylib program is you would sort of have a section that is like, this is my drawing section, and this part here is my simulation section. Similar to how in ECS we have a simulation system group and the presentation system group.
By the way, someone had to say it.
Oh yeah, that's true. True. Actually,
Can't talk about video games and cake without talking about how it's a lie. Lie. Yes.
There is an option for who said programming can't be fun, right? It's, okay, so RL get key press. Actually, is key down. I think it's the one we want. And then it should just be right. Is it dot? Yeah, dot. Right. Because it's an edom. And also, we don't need to do it this way. We should do it this way because that's cool. And also, why did I spell it with? I guess it wasn't me that spelled it with capital letters. It was normally the standard inside of Odin is to write everything with the snake case.
Right. Yeah. I'm still kind of I was seeing that in a lot of the kind of documentation, so I'm kind of like trying to do my best to follow that along a little bit, but
yeah, when you're not used to it, it feels weird. Like especially like you start trying to write a C# style inside of Raylib,
right.
which is
like
you can even see that.
They also say you want to use like the underscores in between. Like if I had like player position as well, like player.player position would be player.player_position, right?
Yeah. Okay, let's do the rest. That's one of the things that Copilot is great at. It's the sort of repetition.
Repetitive,
thing.
yeah.
There you go. And of course, we're not drawing it currently, so we need to draw it as well. What should our player look like?
Our player should look like a very detailed model of a spider.
You get circle or square. That's the two options. Maybe line.
How about hexagon? Do we got hexagon?
Is poly. Oh yes, this one does what I want. You can get that. That one I can allow. Player position. Okay. Amount of sides. Hexagon. That would be 6. Because hexagons are the bestagons. Rotation, none. Yeah, let's make it a maroon color. That's the fine suggestion.
Maroon. Solid recommendation there, Copilot. There he is.
And it correctly moves around based on input. Now, can you tell why does it draw in front of the text?
Because you're drawing the player after you're drawing the text.
Yes. Like I know it's stupid that I'm asking, but it's I think it just shows how intuitive the library is. There's really not to it. So, for instance, what I've been using Raylib for is like even in daily programming, because debug draw line cannot always is sometimes annoying to use and can't get you everything you need. Then just open up a Raylib program and do a quick little simulation visually. I've also been using it for do you know Advent of Code?
Oh, okay, yeah. Where basically it's like in December, like every single day they have a new coding challenge.
Yep. So if you just give me 1 second, then I can show you my repository for last Advent of Code, because I used it heavily for that one.
How many did you do?
That's a good question. I don't recall. I have too many repositories. Here it is. At least I call this one something that, makes it very simple for me to show off. The repository is called Advent of Code.
Are you going to add, if you do Advent of Code this year, are you going to add to that same repository?
Yep. Look, there's Advent of Code 2022.
You get the tags there, or
Yeah,
branches.
and then you can see all the different folders. I think this might have been one of the fun ones. Is this... Actually, should we try and see what this does?
Sure.
Okay, I need the input text. That's fine. There you go. What do you mean that's not set? What is camera mode used for?
That's just the enum.
Yeah. Update camera. There you go.
And then I think you have to do a pointer.
Oh, it's already there. Bit of updating of the old code, but I think this is actually a good example to show, because I do remember this one. And this should be orbital, I can tell. There we go. And I think I need to... Yes. Because there's like two parts in it.
Mm.
There you go.
Oh, dang.
So it was... what was it? Oh yeah, you're supposed to count the amount of connected squares, I think it was.
Okay.
And so, just having a little Raylib program visualize while you're trying to debug it is so incredibly useful.
Yeah.
And you can the nice thing is you can do it on a separate thread. So if you look here, I'm creating a thread.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm passing in the data. And the data is just an array of all the voxels. And ders, which I don't remember what is. I can see that it's 6 integers.
Probably one for each direction, basically each face of the cube.
Yeah.
Voxel.
Yes, and then I'm just on this thread, you should do what you expect. You should initialize the window, you should set the target frame rate, and then it's just a matter of set the start position of the camera, and then update the camera as an orbital camera, because you can do 3D with Raylib. And then we begin drawing, and then during, we first draw a clear background as the black background. We then draw the 3D camera. Then for every of the 6 directions, we draw a cube. So one there, which is, I guess, the green cube that you saw. So what we should see is, green being drawn, and then we iterate over every voxel. And every voxel is just like an on and off state. So it's a bit array. And then I draw a cube for it if it's actually, on, if voxel. So if that voxel is actually one of the voxels, then draw the cube. Otherwise, don't draw it. And that's the entire visualization. Then what I can also do is I can boom, boom. We can show the other program. Actually, I think it works by just showing both of them at the same time. I think that should do it.
They just like draw on top of each other.
Yeah. So this is one of them. And then where's the other one? Might need some time to run. Or what? It's a little annoying that I can see the program starts up there. I should have moved it down, but let's just do the P2 visualization. I'm also noticing that this is not supposed to be like that. I'm not getting any visuals here. Weird. That's a bummer. I think this one was also more interesting. Because it's
Wait, so
it's
that
basically
was the free cam one. Do you have to like move the camera around or something?
probably. Because that one is a lot more interesting because what I had to do here is I had to do a flood fill.
Okay.
And so what's nice is I could focus on the solution itself on its own because I'm doing the solution here in one function.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just writing to an array, right, to do the flood fill. But then to check whether this flood fill does the correct thing that I wanted it to do, then, you know, on the other thread, I can just draw any data that it has currently, you know, represented. So let me quickly see. There's another good one for that year. Like visually. Is it dirt? Yes, that one. Oh, that one is a fun one. I need this one. Download. 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 Have you ever done any Advent of Code?
I haven't. No. I'm considering it for this year. It seems fun.
It's really fun.
And they're just a lot of just like kind of basic, like, you know, has some kind of defined problem, and then you just go about solving it.
Yeah, and the fun part is like it usually starts very small. So like this is the whole solution for day one question.
Okay.
Whole solution for they always have like a problem 1 and problem 2. So problem 1 is
Oh, I see.
this solution,
I see.
and then problem 2 is here.
It's kind of the more like advanced level of it.
Exactly, and then you can like
Nice.
do and what's also nice is in Odin you can do hashtag load to just get the input, and that's like a raw binary file, so it will actually be compiled into the program itself.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Which also means if you don't have the file, you get a compile error. Okay, main. Oh wait, no, we already have the main Odin. We need the dirt PNG and the basic PNG, and then the input. Yes, replace, and then I think I already overrode it. This looks correct. Yes. And then we just uncomment this. Look if there's any failures. There's not, and then run it. Look for the line that is saying it's problem. Line 103. Oh, this was clearly a comment. I'm clearly using a different version of Raylib.
Raylib, yeah.
I mean, this was also quite a few years ago, I suppose. Draw cube. Okay, hopefully that works. It doesn't do the texture, but that's fine. Just me, I did a lot of nothing happen.
Didn't look like a whole lot of anything happened.
Also, if there are any comments in chat, because I would love to take.
Let's see here. Is there any rendering pipeline support in Raylib, like a chunk of a memory that some stuff to draw now go?
I mean, yes. It's not something I've personally used, but they do have support for lower down structures. So if you look at like they've Raylib is split up into a few sections. So there's our core, and then if we go down a little, the green section, green obviously being graphics. I think maybe it's not that one. It's RLGL I'm looking for. Oh, these are the strokes. Maybe that's that one. Because then there is the text. The mode, begin drawing to a render texture, for instance. Set up a canvas for the frame buffer. Then there's also get the swap screen buffer. Oh, this is just for swapping it. This there's another one for actually. Let's actually look at the Raylib examples, because I know one of the Raylib examples is what you're looking for. Examples. I'm probably wanting. They have a ton of great examples that just work in the
Yeah, looks like
browser. Like this one is great. This is like just drawing to an image directly. Is that one? Yeah, generate Perler noise, and then you can just like generate it. It's just a normal binary array where it's just a pixel color, then another pixel color, then another pixel color, for however big that array is supposed to be.
Nice.
And then there is. Let's see. I'm looking there. I know there's one for like if you want to do your own shaders, like computer shaders and everything.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Loading GLT. Yeah, there's built-in GLTF support, which is like a very popular model format.
Yep.
That includes animation. I think this one might even be animated. Yeah.
Cool.
That one is pretty fun as well, because if you look down here, the way animation works is where is it? Yeah. So you'll notice this is the drawing part. This is the simulation part. Animating it is as simple as picking the correct animation and then update it to that animation. So you find the correct frame of your animation, and then it's just a matter of calling update model animation.
Wouldn't it be nice if Unity DOS could do that?
It certainly would. It certainly would. Oh, model shader. That looks like it's doing shader stuff. Yeah, so load shader. and then that's a fragment shader. So you can write shaders, and then you just have a model. So you also load a 3D model, like a wave object, and a PNG, and then that runs on that. Like the vertex and fragment shaders runs on this.
Easy.
Take the shader for the material, and then draw it to the screen.
I like it.
Like,
Straightforward.
so it's incredibly straightforward. Pretty much everything inside of Raylib. Like you create a window,
I'm
and then you
liking
just
what I
like
see for sure.
yeah, and then you just like begin creating the correct draw commands. There's even an example showing how to do ray marching.
Oh
Like
wow.
this is
Oh
done with
wow.
yeah.
Raylib ray trace.
This is ray marching. So just as I suppose it's as simple as just creating a ray marching shader. The nice thing too is while obviously you can't see the shader in the example alone, you can just press source code and then it will go to the C file. And of course, pressing shaders here, you can find the actual shader. I think resources, shaders, different versions of GLSL, which is the shading language they use, as opposed to what Unity uses, which is HLSL.
Right. Okay.
I mean, to most people, it should be basically the same still. So ray marching there. There you go.
And so of course these shaders are all going to be running on the GPU, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Even for the web version, because Raylib is supported on the web as well.
Ah, okay.
Oh, this is done by Inigo QLS. Do you know who that is?
No, I don't recognize the name.
It's that guy. Look, it's basically Code Monkey.
Oh, now I know. Okay.
No, I think he is very known for this one, which is entirely made with math.
Wow.
Same goes for this. That's a YouTube video where that
Okay.
entire person is made out of ray marching shapes.
Jeez. Crazy.
Also, generally, if you want to know all the like default functions you need for an SDF, which is what you use for ray marching, then he will have all the like. This is if you want to draw a sign distance field to a capsule, given this point and this A and B and the radius of the capsule, then this is how far away you are to that point. Which is what do you know what a ray marching is?
I'm familiar with it. I haven't like implemented my own, but I've seen some like videos of I think like Sebastian Legg might have
Yes,
done some couple videos on it. Yeah.
it's volumetrics is often done with it.
Hmm.
Very cool. There's also a hybrid render example here, where it like shows both like full-on lighting as well as like unlit shader. Like Raylib is more powerful than you might expect. There's even a built-in function for like drawing that grid, like the white grid, not the.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. It's good stuff.
And also, all these samples are written with C. But because Odin is fairly C-like.
Right, I was gonna say all the functions are probably the same.
Yeah, so like draw cube V. There. RO draw cube V. It's the
Wow.
same. I guess the biggest difference is that in here there's no RL dot.
It's the price you have to pay.
I like this comment. So I suppose it's not a lie. There is ray tracing.
The
I
only thing that's a
suppose
lie is the cake.
exactly. Also, I think the guy that makes Raylib is called something Ray.
Okay. That makes sense. His last name is Ray, and it's like, oh, it's Ray's lib. Like if I had a graphics
Yeah.
library, it would be the Turbo lib.
Turbo lib. Oh, that sounds like a very performance library. And if you had a language, would it be called Turbolang?
Turbo Lang.
Oh yeah, RLGL. That's one of his extra libraries, which is meant as like a graphics, a simple to use graphics library if you don't want to think about platforms when you're writing, learning about graphics programming. Because often, if you're learning about graphics programming, you have to learn about you kind of have to pick a lane. So either you're gonna learn WebGL, you're gonna learn OpenGL, DirectX, Vulkan, Metal. If you learn Vulkan, because it's works on most platforms, then you still have the problem of like you have to learn Molten, which is the Vulkan version, and it wouldn't run on web, and so you still have to learn WebGL. Then WebGPU is actually the one that you can learn for all platforms, but it's still, I don't know. Most people don't want to think about platforms, so it can be nice to use something like RLGL or
So then you basically just write the graphics functions, and then it takes care of implementing it for all the specific libraries.
yeah, exactly.
Excellent.
Yes. Also, something that's also nice about Raylib, they have implemented most of the default things you might need, like being able to load a texture, like a PNG and a JPEG, etc. There's a function called load texture where you just pass in a path, and then it will pass the path. Right? It will pass the file, and it will do that for most file formats of images. And there's also one for loading models, and that one works for OBJ. I don't think it works for FBX, but
Okay.
it definitely works with GLTF.
Okay. So still some fairly common formats, and if it's not in that format, it's easy to probably convert it to what you need.
Exactly. I don't think there's anything that you can really do with FBX that you can do in GLTF, so you can just convert it between those. But yeah, I don't think I have much to add other than if there's any more comments or if Mr. Awesome has more he wants to know about the pipeline stuff.
I did see, I think, a little while back, he also mentioned what is the process memory usage. I'm sure it's probably extremely small, right?
Oh yeah, it doesn't use that much. And also you can override its allocator. So by default, it will in Odin it will use the context allocator, which is I think I talked about it a little the last time around, but in Odin, every method has by default this hidden variable called context that is passed around. So because main is called, and then main calls main p1, then whatever context is assigned to here is then passed into this one, which is run down here. And one of the things that context holds is an allocator, and that allocator then decides how it should allocate. By default, that allocator is set up as the platform-specific allocator. So on Windows, it would just be like a mib alloc. Yeah, and also the footprint itself. If we just go and have a look, we can pretty much see the implementation. Allocate memory. Yeah, so you can ask Raylib to allocate memory for you, so that Raylib manages the memory. I don't know why you would want to do that.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, you can also override this, and then that is then used by Odin instead. What's it called? Raylib instead.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's incredibly cheap compared to something like Unity.
I could imagine.
I've seen people run Raylib on. Was it a GameCube? I think it was a GameCube I saw.
That's awesome. Is that like a YouTube video or something?
I don't know if it was a YouTube video. I think I
Or just
saw
like
it in a
some Reddit
tweet.
post or something?
It was definitely a tweet.
Okay.
But I'm sure they uploaded it somewhere.
That's so cool.
Yeah, here's the definition of their memory allocator, which is just using Odin's.
By the way, look at this. Making a game engine for the Switch with Raylib.
Oh, that's cool. That's
That's
cool.
really cool.
Which language are you using? Is it C or Odin or Rust or Go? Or I don't think you would be using Go, but
Yeah, I was looking at like the languages that are supported by Raylib, and there's like a ton. C++. Nice.
yeah. I mean, if you're a lot of people are very comfortable with C# on this channel, and you can see there's plenty of options there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 different implementations of Raylib for C#.
Cool.
Lua, PHP, Python, SIG. There's free implementation for SIG. V? Oh my god. V is the other language that looks a little like Odin.
Okay.
Like, look at that. That's very Go
It's very
Odin-like.
small. Yeah, seems to be pretty similar. Except you have
V
println
is
other than fmt.println.
yes. I think it's also fairly, from what I recall, inspired by Jai.
It's what by Jay?
It's inspired by Jai.
Okay.
Jonathan Blow's language.
Yes, indeed.
But it does include hot code reload.
Oh. Although, I mean, Odin compiles so fast, it might as well be hot code reload.
Yes. I mean, the fact that, what I've been showing today has just like been instant compile, even though it's graphics.
Yeah. I think your camera froze.
I think my browser crashed.
Oh.
It's amazing that something is even still visible. Oh my god.
Yeah. No, you're there. I mean, your screen's still sharing.
Can you see me moving around on the screen?
No, I mean, your picture is completely frozen.
Oh my, that's wild. I mean, you can still hear me. Oh, I'm
You're
back.
back.
Wow. Yeah, my browser still is now working again.
Fixed itself.
That was scary. Yeah, live coding them and nothing will go wrong. Nothing at all. God damn it. Yeah, no, I can definitely recommend using it, especially for like smaller projects, like for instance, Advent of Code or anything that is like fairly small visual. Like I quickly need this algorithm solved, but I can't figure out what's wrong with the algorithm. I want some visuals to sort of visualize it. Let me just
Right, you don't have to
quickly.
like set up a whole Unity project and like download the right version and install some asset store packages and
Exactly. Here I can just say, hey, please draw this thing at this location. Please draw this thing at this location. Please, this entire array, just visualize the entire array as a float free should be this color here. This float free should be this color here. Right. That's
yeah, just like straight drawing pixels to the screen. Um, all right. Well, anything else? Or you want to start wrapping this up here?
actually I'm curious about Inestro's project now all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Let's quickly have a look. Well, so, okay, so got Ray
God
NX.
rays NX.
Is that his username? It's not. Got Rays. Nope. What if I just Google it?
I'm looking on Google right now. I think it's unfortunately a difficult thing to search for because God rays is a
Is a term that
graphics. Yeah.
barely used. Cool to see that he's also using his own engine. I mean, while I am an engine programmer, I obviously am an engine programmer, so I also can sympathize with people who want to make an engine, and I can also find plenty of reasons that people should write an engine or should at least not be so, what's it called, like concerned about like trying to build their own thing.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of people also think it's harder than it actually is. For the most part, like if you just want to make a game, sure, maybe a game engine is a fine approach. But also, if you're making like a 2D game, I don't like if for most smaller project like say Slay the Spire. I know they switched over to using Godot now, and I mean, Slay the Spire is not that big of a game. Like, sure, it's big in the design aspect of it. Like, you certainly need a lot of design for the game, but it's not big in the programming aspect. It's not a logically hard game to do. And
Mm.
for such a type of game, I would actually recommend not using any engine at all and just straight up using something like Raylib or SDO or um, whatever you need to get you started working quickly.
Yeah. No, and I think it's good from not only just the perspective of like being able to get up and running with something really quickly and simple, but it also kind of just like gives you a deeper understanding about kind of what's going on under the hood. Um, just it kind of like it's a lower level of things and kind of like helps your understanding of like what exactly is going on when you're like calling certain functions within Unity. So I think it's all like good context there.
Yes.
All right. Well, with that, we want to go ahead and move on over to our dynamic allocation portion of the show. Do you have any fun thing that you want to share with the people here today?
I guess actually let me share this guy because
Yeah,
as I said,
please let us know a little bit more about it.
yeah, because he has done a ton of stuff. Anytime you go on Shader Toy, you will likely see a project of his if it actually does load. I don't know why it doesn't right now. Do you know what Shader Toy is?
Isn't it just like kind of like a website where you can kind of like write shader stuff and see it or something?
Yes. Shader toy is like a good little playground for writing shaders and showing it off to people. So like someone wrote a shader that does this. Give it a second. There. Kind of fun little demo there.
Yeah.
So IQ has a lot of fun little examples. Like for instance the one I showed earlier. This one. And it takes a while to load.
There's a lot going on apparently.
There you go. So this is entirely rematched and done in real time.
Jeez.
It's pretty wild.
That is.
And if we go in here, here's the actual video. Oh my god. Ad. You guys get an ad because I get an ad. That's it's a Danish ad.
Gotta get on that YouTube Premium, bro.
Yeah, I know. There you go. So slowly, based on a bit of math, looks very scary.
It's almost like an extra level deeper of like you know, like a lot of like vector logos are made just by like taking like simple shapes and like, you know, putting them together and cutting things out basically. Like I think like the original Twitter logo is like literally just a bunch of circles, like the bird one. It's like literally just a bunch of circles, but they're like, you know, you're using circles to add and remove portions of it to like make that.
What do
like
you mean? I can
shape.
do the new one. There you go. That's the new one.
Can you do that with Raylib?
I sure can. You mean
rl.drawTextX.
Yep. At this position. Slowly builds up the character. It's really an interesting watch. He does also explain it a lot better when you know you actually hear the presentation. Like even just this is really cool to see.
Wow.
Because it's entirely procedural as well. Just make even more of them. Add a bit of curl to them, which obviously that's cosine because it's a curl. It's a wave. And then add some more of them, right? Then he gets a little jacket.
Wow.
It's really cool to see. But let's go back a few times. There. So on his website, most of the math that is needed is on like one of his examples here. Path tracing in 1 hour. So if you want to learn how path tracing is done, then you can read here and do some cool little fractals here.
Wow, that looks really cool. Looks like something you see like an Inception.
Yep. Full source code example right here. Like it's 250 lines of code to make this.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah. And you can read it on that little article. Anytime you see anyone mention anything about SDF, also on Twitter, you will likely find his name involved because yeah, it is so cool what he does.
How many lines of code was the person?
That's a good question. Let me quickly go back. Actually, probably easier to go on this one and then find the shader toy. That doesn't. A few more. Let's quickly look. Okay, so this is all the functions that are needed. The like sign distance field to a cone, sign distance field to a segment. Cat wants to delete the code, which is a little annoying.
Typical.
Yep. Also, all the distance functions, whenever anyone quotes it, it's also this article because he made them a very popular article on it. So if you want to do with this shape or this shape, then this is the code. This shape is that code. Let's see, buffer array. I think this is the one that actually has it. So it would be 600 lines.
That's really not that much.
Nope, it isn't. Not when you consider it's
I've done a lot less with a lot more lines of code. I'll say that.
Yes, and like there's like a whole landscape going on here, and like the depth of field, the depth of field effect is also part of it.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I will have to say though, depth of field is incredibly easy with ray matching.
Makes sense.
Because like depth of field is achieved because of rays. So when you're doing like ray tracing, for instance, it's also easy. What makes it hard is when we have to recreate it as like a blur effect.
Okay, yeah.
Because it has to do with like one ray hitting like the focal length not matching, so it being like out of view and then you haze because of that.
So yeah, if you're using the actual rays, then it's pretty trivial. But again, if you're like having to fake it by what do you have to like look at the Z buffer or something like that? Like
yeah. And like yeah, you look at this the Z buffer and then you do like a higher blur the more you go up. Right.
Right. Okay. Yeah. By the way, if you look at our private chat, I posted our Maestro's engine.
Oh yeah, there. There you go. It's a full-on game engine.
God Ray's game engine.
Written in C++. So you can see the classic old makefile. Actually, I'm happy. This is just a makefile. It's not CMake. It's not what's it called? The other one that's also a makefile. Make. I think it's just called make. No, make is makefile.
Yeah.
It's
make is the command you use.
Yeah, but it's the last one. It's so weird because C basically doesn't have a build system.
Yeah.
Whereas Odin at least has a build system. You know, that's the Odin compiler. That's just that. Whereas, you know, in C, you can either be using the one written by Microsoft, you can be using Clang, or you can be using GNU, the GNU compiler as a classic one. Either it can be the one for Windows, which is MINC-W, or it can be the one for Linux, which is just I can never remember what the name of that implementation is.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is cool. Might have to check that later.
Yeah.
But that's a game engine also using Raylib, which is a good way to write an engine. Actually, come to think of it, there's a guy that made a whole Steam game. What was the guy called?
I know a while back, I think I shared a game that was made using the JAI programming language that used Raylib for kind of all the graphic stuff. It was like a little mobile game. Which is on my phone. Let me see if I can read the name.
There is this guy, Karl Zelinsky.
Karl Zelinsky.
Cat and Onion. That's the game. This is a game entirely done with Raylib and Odin. Raylib and Odin. Um,
Cool.
and if you buy the game, then you I think also get source access. I think you need to buy it on itch.io though.
That's pretty cool.
Let's see. Yeah, here. So if you buy it on for $3.49, then you can get the source access to essentially
Good deal.
the entire engine and the game.
Yeah.
It's a good deal. Do you have a dynamic allocation?
I do. So actually, go ahead and share this. This is a stream done by none other than Ginger Bill. Actually, had came across this. It was kind of funny. Like I was experimenting with Odin, making this little kind of solitaire game the other day, right? And so kind of like at the end of the day, I was like looking for something to watch. So I just typed in Ginger Bill just to see if he had like anything on there. And he actually had a stream where he was making a little solitaire card game using Raylib and Odin, of course.
Yeah, that feels very familiar.
So yeah, it was like I think a Twitch stream that he did, and this is kind of like the VOD of it that he posted over on YouTube.
That's Raylib as well.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and post that in there. But yeah, so yeah, he used Raylib to basically draw all the cards and text and everything like that. And so yeah, I was like kind of I've been watching on this stream, and it was kind of funny because like a lot of the things that I'd like created and set up for my solitaire game, like he was basically setting up the exact same things there. And yeah, so I thought it was a good stream, and it was like a 3 hour stream where he basically made this simple little kind of like battler card game where there's kind of like some face cards up on top, and then you have like your cards down on the bottom, and then you basically drag them up onto the cards on top to like essentially take down their hit points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah,
I mean,
I just what?
something I also do like about Raylib is the fact, like when you program in it, I feel like you naturally just end up finding the correct abstraction structures, because the language doesn't enforce any on you. You sort of have to like slowly build up the project, and then as you go, you'll notice, oh, I'm doing this a lot. I'll have to create a proper abstraction for it.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of how I've been at least approaching it, is more in kind of a very procedural method where I'm like literally just kind of like writing everything within main, and then it's like, okay, like, I need to use this in a couple places, I'll pull this out and do a method kind of thing. So
Yeah, yeah. You'll notice the same with the Raylib examples I showed. Like at some point, it might make sense to do a proper update place and a proper drawing function.
right. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of funny. So
Yes.
that yeah, there was the Ginger Bill, the creator of Odin himself, created a little solitaire game. So it was it's been fun to watch through. But yeah, that is pretty much our episode of the Hot Path Show here today. Real quickly, we just do want to thank our Patreon supporters, and remember you can you'll get additional bonus content and stuff over on patreon.com/turbomacegames, as well as supporting us through YouTube memberships as well. Yeah, fun bonus videos and cool stuff. And yeah, I do just want to give a shout out to the supporters at the CPU register tier, which is our highest tier. So thank you very much to eCool and Hakan for your support. We really do appreciate it over there. And then, yeah, with that, Danny, do you have any closing words for us here today?
I don't. I mean, stay. What is it? Stay on the hot path. Is that?
Stay on the hot path. Just that's a good place to stay.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
great stream, everybody. Thanks for hanging out and chatting. It was great to see y'all. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Later, everybody.
Yeah. See ya.
Oh, yeah, next week when I'm going to be revealing